The first encounter. The Trivanians were a proud race, known throughout the galaxy for their advanced technology and their ability to conquer and manipulate lesser civilizations. For centuries, they had expanded their influence over countless planets, treating each species they encountered as either a tool to be used or a threat to be crushed. So when they discovered Earth, a relatively small planet at the edge of a quiet star system, they didn't think much of it. The Trivanians sent a small reconnaissance team to Earth. Their mission was simple: observe the humans, gather intelligence, and determine how best to subjugate them. The team landed their ship in a remote part of the planet, far away from the major cities, where they could stay hidden while they watched. From their cloaked position, they observed humans living their daily lives. At first, the Trivanians were unimpressed. The humans seemed primitive compared to the vast technologies the Trivanians had at their disposal. The humans traveled in simple machines, built cities of stone and steel, and communicated through basic electronic devices. To the Trivanians, it all seemed so mundane. "This will be easy," one of the Trivanians, a skilled scout named Freeze, muttered as he watched a group of humans walk by a busy street. "They don't even have energy shields or advanced AI running their cities. They're nothing." But as the days went by, something strange happened. The Trivanians began to notice things that didn't quite add up. The humans, despite their seemingly primitive technology, were incredibly efficient. They solved problems quickly and adapted to challenges faster than any species the Trivanians had ever encountered. One day, Freeze and his team witnessed a minor disaster. A bridge had collapsed in a human city, trapping dozens of people underneath. The Trivanians expected chaos, fear, and helplessness. After all, that was what most species would do in such a situation. But instead, the humans reacted in a way the Trivanians had never seen before. Within minutes, humans were coordinating rescue efforts. Civilians, without waiting for any government orders, rushed to help the trapped people. They used whatever tools were available: cranes, ropes, even their bare hands, to lift debris and free the injured. The Trivanians watched in disbelief as the humans worked together with precision, turning what could have been a catastrophic event into a demonstration of their resilience and determination. "What is this?" Freeze whispered, his usual arrogance replaced by confusion. "They act as though they've done this 100 times before. They aren't waiting for anyone to tell them what to do." The humans' ability to act independently and yet in perfect coordination baffled the Trivanians. No other species they had encountered reacted this way. Most civilizations relied heavily on centralized leadership and advanced technologies to handle emergencies, but here were humans responding with instinct, creativity, and sheer willpower. As the days turned into weeks, the Trivanians observed more of these moments. Whether it was solving complex engineering problems, facing natural disasters, or even handling political disputes, humans consistently demonstrated a level of adaptability and quick thinking that the Trivanians hadn't anticipated. Every challenge thrown their way was met with a solution. Sometimes simple, sometimes brilliant, but always effective. Freeze began to realize that the humans' true strength didn't lie in their technology or their weapons. It was something deeper, something the Trivanians couldn't fully understand. "They don't rely on their technology the way we do," one of Freeze's fellow scouts remarked. "It's almost as if their greatest weapon is their minds." Freeze, who had once been so confident in the Trivanians' superiority, now felt a sense of unease. He had always believed that the strongest civilizations were those with the most advanced technology. But these humans, these seemingly primitive beings, were proving him wrong. "We must report this to the council," Freeze finally said, his voice tense. "The humans, they're not what we thought. They might be more dangerous than any species we've ever encountered." The Trivanian ship lifted off silently, cloaked from human eyes, as they prepared to return to their home planet. But the thoughts of what they had witnessed on Earth lingered in their minds. Humans were not just another primitive species waiting to be conquered. They were something far more unpredictable, far more dangerous. As the ship shot through the stars, Vries couldn't shake the feeling that this would not be the last time they would deal with humans. And next time, it might not be as observers. Little did the Travanians know that their report would send ripples throughout the Galactic Coalition, setting in motion events that would forever change the fate of humanity and the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council's response. The Travanians returned to their home planet with urgency, their ship cutting through the void of space at speeds unimaginable to most civilizations. Upon their arrival, Vries and his team were immediately summoned to the Galactic Council. The Council, made up of the most powerful species in the galaxy, rarely took reports from a reconnaissance mission this seriously. But something in Vries's transmission had caught their attention. The humans were different, and the Council needed to know why. Vries stood in the grand hall of the Council, his heart racing. Surrounding him were the towering representatives of the galactic races, each one looking down at him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. The leader of the Council, a towering creature with shimmering scales and eyes like glowing embers, leaned forward. "Begin your report, Travanian," the Council leader commanded, his voice deep and resonant. "What did you find on this insignificant planet called Earth?" Vries took a deep breath and began. "Council members, we have encountered a species unlike any we've seen before. Humans, as they call themselves, are technologically inferior to most of us here. They lack advanced AI, energy-based weaponry, and interstellar travel. At first glance, we thought them to be an easy conquest, much like the others." A murmur ran through the room. Vries could feel the judgmental stares of the Council members. They had all seen lesser species before, weak, easily dominated, with no hope of standing against the might of the galactic powers. But Vries continued. "However, humans possess something we did not expect," Vries said, his voice gaining strength. "They are adaptive, resilient. In the face of crisis, they do not falter or wait for instruction. They act with a level of coordination and creativity that defies their limited technology. They solve problems faster than any species we've encountered." One of the Council members, a representative of the Grethler species, scoffed. "You speak of primitive beings solving problems. Do you expect us to fear creatures with stone cities and fire-powered machines?" Vries locked eyes with the Grethler. "You misunderstand. Their technology may be primitive, but their minds are not. We watched them face a disaster, a bridge collapse in one of their cities. Instead of chaos, they brought order. Instead of fear, they acted with purpose. Their ability to adapt to the situation was remarkable." The Council leader raised a hand, silencing the hall. "What do you suggest, Vries?" "That these humans pose a threat to the galactic order." Vries hesitated. He knew the Council's arrogance. Most of them believed that their advanced technology made them invincible, that no species could rise against them. But Vries had seen something in the humans, a spark, a potential for greatness that the Council could not yet comprehend. "I suggest caution, Council leader," Vries said finally. "Humans are unpredictable. We do not yet fully understand their capabilities. They do not rely on technology as we do. Their strength lies in their ingenuity and their ability to act without hesitation. They may seem weak, but I fear that if we underestimate them, we could face consequences none of us are prepared for." The Council leader leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "What would you have us do, Vries? Strike them down now. Wipe out their planet before they have a chance to develop further?" Vries's heart pounded. He knew that was a possibility. The Council had wiped out species before, erasing entire civilizations from existence at the first sign of resistance. But something inside him told him that this was not the way. "No," Vries said, shaking his head. "We should not provoke them. Instead, I suggest we continue to observe. Watch how they evolve. Learn more about their strengths and weaknesses. If we move too soon, we may unite them against us." Another murmur swept through the Council. The idea of watching instead of conquering went against their nature, But Vreese's words carried weight. They knew that rushing into conflict without understanding their enemy could lead to disaster. After a long silence, the council leader finally spoke. "Very well, Vreese, we will heed your advice, for now. Continue your observations of these humans. Report any changes, any signs of technological advancement or unusual behavior. We will decide their fate when the time is right." Bowed deeply. "Thank you, council leader. I will not fail you." As he left the grand hall, couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. He had seen the potential in humans, their adaptability, their creativity, their unity in the face of adversity. But would the council listen to his warnings when the time came? Or would they see humanity as nothing more than another obstacle to be crushed? Back on Earth, humanity continued to live its daily life, unaware of the growing attention it was receiving from the stars. But soon, they would learn that they were not alone in the universe, and when that day came, their greatest strengths would be put to the unexpected ally. Warnings echoed in the chambers of the Galactic Council, but many dismissed his concerns. Most species saw humanity as nothing more than a curious anomaly, something to observe but not fear. However, not all were so quick to underestimate humans. Among the council members was a representative from a race known for their wisdom and neutrality in galactic affairs. They had avoided conflict for centuries, choosing diplomacy over war. The representative had been silent during presentation, but her mind was racing. Back on her ship, pondered over the information it shared. Something about humans intrigued her. They were so different from the other species the council had encountered creatures who relied on superior technology to survive and thrive. Humans, though primitive, had managed to overcome obstacles in ways that defied galactic logic. It wasn't just their adaptability, it was their spirit, their will to persevere. Made a decision. She would investigate these humans for herself. With quiet determination, she boarded her personal reconnaissance vessel. Unlike the who had arrived on Earth with a brash and loud entrance, Solara's ship was sleek and invisible to most forms of detection. It was a masterpiece of Sci-Fi technology, designed for stealth and observation. Her journey took days, but eventually found herself in the Sol system, orbiting the small blue planet. Earth looked unremarkable from space, just another world in a galaxy full of them. But Solara knew better. There was something different about this place. Activating her ship's cloaking system, descended into Earth's atmosphere. She hovered above one of the human cities, watching through her ship's advanced observation systems. At first glance, the humans appeared chaotic. Their cities were crowded, their technology far behind that of the galactic species. But as Solara zoomed in, she noticed the small details, how humans cooperated with each other, how they solved problems in real time, and most interestingly, how they showed kindness even in the face of difficulty. She watched as a group of humans dealt with a natural disaster. A powerful storm had swept through the city, causing widespread destruction. Yet, instead of succumbing to panic, the humans worked together. Emergency teams organized quickly. Volunteers helped strangers, and even those who had lost everything still found ways to offer assistance. Solara's curiosity deepened. In most species, such disasters would lead to chaos and disarray. But humans seemed to thrive under pressure, growing stronger and more unified in times of crisis. They didn't have the technology to prevent such disasters, but their resilience was unlike anything Solara had ever seen. As the storm subsided and the humans began rebuilding, Solara shifted her attention to another part of the city. There, she observed a different kind of human interaction, one of competition. A sports event, as the humans called it. At first, Solara found it odd. The idea of engaging in physical competition for entertainment was foreign to many species, but as she continued to watch, she realized that this too was a display of human nature. The athletes pushed themselves to their limits, not for survival, but for the pursuit of excellence. They trained, they strategized, and they competed with a level of intensity that rivaled even the most advanced galactic warriors. Yet when the game ended, they shook hands, smiled, and congratulated each other. There was no malice, only respect. Silara couldn't help but be impressed. Humans were complex. They had the capacity for great violence, but also for incredible compassion. They thrived in competition, yet valued cooperation. They were unpredictable, and that made them dangerous in ways the Galactic Council had yet to understand. With her observations complete, Silara returned to her ship. She had seen enough. The humans were not to be taken lightly. But as she prepared to leave Earth's orbit, a thought struck her. Perhaps humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their adaptability or resilience. Perhaps it was something deeper, a quality that no amount of technology could replicate. Back on the Galactic Council, Silara made her report. "I have seen the humans, and I believe Vrees is right," she began. "They are not a species to be underestimated. Their strength lies not in their machines or their weapons, but in their spirit. They rise in the face of adversity, and they find unity in the most chaotic of situations." The council murmured among themselves, but Silara raised a hand. "If we provoke them, we may awaken something in them that even they do not yet understand. I suggest we approach with caution and, if possible, seek to understand them before we make any decisions." The council leader, the same one who had dismissed Vrees' concerns, looked at Silara with narrowed eyes. "And what do you propose? Should we ally with these humans?" Silara smiled faintly. "Perhaps, or at the very least, we should be prepared for the possibility that one day they will stand as equals among us." The councils divide. Back at the Galactic Council, Silara's report caused a stir. The once dismissive attitude of the council members had begun to shift, but not everyone was convinced. Vrees, the Travanian representative who had initially raised concerns about humanity, was cautiously hopeful. He believed Silara's first-hand observations would finally make the council realize that humans pose both a potential threat and opportunity. But the council was divided. Among the members was the representative of the Zeldari, a warlike species that believed strength was measured in raw power and military might. Groken, their leader, was unimpressed by Silara's talk of spirit and resilience. To him, humans were an insignificant species that should either submit or be crushed. He had little patience for diplomacy. "This talk of human spirit is nothing more than sentimental nonsense." Groken's voice boomed across the council chamber. "They are a primitive race, reliant on outdated technology. What threat do they pose to the likes of us? Their weapons are laughable. Their cities are weak." Vrees, seated across from Groken, spoke calmly. "You underestimate them. Groken, humans are not like the other species we've encountered. They adapt, they learn quickly, and they turn their weaknesses into strengths. That's what makes them dangerous." Groken sneered. "Dangerous? They are a joke. I say we strike now, before they have a chance to grow. Crush them underfoot, as we have done with countless other species." Silara, watching the exchange in silence, finally spoke. "If we strike, we may awaken something far more dangerous than you realize. Groken, humans do not back down easily. Every battle, every challenge only makes them stronger. They thrive on adversity." Groken's eyes narrowed as he turned to Silara. "You sound as if you admire them." "I admire their potential," Silara responded evenly. "They possess a quality that we, as advanced as we are, may have lost. They are driven not just by survival or conquest, but by a deeper need to excel, to innovate, and to push their limits. That is what makes them a unique species." Groken scoffed, but before he could retort, the council leader raised a hand to silence the debate. The leader, an ancient and wise member of the Eldari race, spoke softly but with authority. "We have heard the arguments," the leader began, "and while the Zeldari may believe that military action is the solution, I agree with Silara. There is something different about humanity, something that cannot be measured by technology or force alone." The council chamber grew quiet as the leader continued. "We must tread carefully. Humanity may be primitive now, but they possess a potential that we cannot fully understand. We must not repeat the mistakes of the past, where we underestimated rising species only to see them become formidable adversaries. Groken slammed his fist on the table. So, we do nothing. We sit here and wait for them to surpass us. The leader's eyes narrowed. We do not do nothing. We observe, we learn, and if necessary, we prepare, but we will not provoke them needlessly. Groken seethed in silence, but he knew that the council's decision was final. In the days that followed, a tense silence fell over the council. The Zeldari faction, led by Groken, continued to push for preemptive action against humanity, believing that a show of force was the only way to deal with this rising species. But Silara's words had resonated with many others. They saw the wisdom in caution, in learning more about humans before making any drastic moves. Meanwhile, Vries remained torn. He knew that humanity could be both a powerful ally and a dangerous enemy, depending on how they were approached. His personal experiences on Earth had shown him the unpredictable nature of humans. They were capable of great violence, but also of remarkable compassion and ingenuity. As the council debated, Silara made her own preparations. She had seen enough to know that humans would not be easily subdued. If war came, it would be unlike any conflict the galaxy had seen. But there was still a chance. If approached carefully, humanity could become a valuable ally to the Galactic Council. The key was to understand them before making any rash decisions. Humanity's resolve. On Earth, the growing tension between humanity and the Galactic Council was still unknown to the public, but high-ranking officials in global governments, as well as military leaders, had started receiving subtle signals that something was amiss. A series of strange energy readings had been detected in Earth's orbit, far beyond the range of typical satellites, hinting at foreign technology monitoring the planet. General Marcus Hayes, one of Earth's top military commanders, sat in the war room of the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF headquarters. The reports from various space observation units had his full attention. Though the public remained blissfully unaware, he knew that this was no ordinary space anomaly. They were being watched. Any updates from the deep space probes? He asked his intelligence chief, Commander Riley. Not much, sir. Just more of the same. Unidentified signals, cloaked ships just outside our detection range. They're watching, but they're keeping their distance. Whoever they are, they don't seem to be making any aggressive moves. Yet. General Hayes nodded, his jaw set in a grim line. They're testing us. Trying to see how much we know, how much we can detect. We have to assume it's the Galactic Council, Commander Riley added, adjusting her glasses. The timing lines up with the rumors we've heard from our contacts in deep space. They've probably noticed our technological advancements and want to size us up. Hayes sighed, rubbing his temples. He had long suspected that humanity's rapid rise in space technology would eventually attract unwanted attention. They had been expanding too quickly, innovating too aggressively. It was only a matter of time before the rest of the galaxy took notice. What's our next move, sir? Riley asked. We keep watching them, just like they're watching us, Hayes replied. But we don't make the first move. If they're trying to provoke us into doing something stupid, we're not going to play into their hands. Riley gave a sharp nod. Understood. And what if they do move first? General Hayes stood up, staring at the massive holographic display of Earth and its surrounding orbital defense grid. If they do, we'll show them what humans are made of. Meanwhile, in a hidden underground facility, deep in the Rocky Mountains, a group of scientists worked tirelessly on Project Sentinel. The project was humanity's secret weapon, a last line of defense in case of extraterrestrial aggression. Unlike the conventional space fleets and planetary defense systems, Project Sentinel was something far more unconventional. Dr. Elena Navarro, the lead scientist on the project, had spent years developing the technology that could give humanity an edge. It wasn't about brute force or overwhelming numbers, like what the Galactic Council species typically relied on. No, this weapon was about precision, adaptability, and using the very laws of physics in unexpected ways. As Dr. Navarro watched the final tests being run, her colleague, Dr. Alan Riker, approached her. "How are we looking?" he asked. "We're close," she said, her voice filled with a quiet confidence. "The weapon is almost ready. If the Galactic Council comes knocking, they're going to regret underestimating us." Riker grinned. "I've always loved how humans never go down without a fight." Navarro smiled back. "It's in our nature." Their creation, the Sentinel weapon, was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A sophisticated system that harnessed not just energy, but gravity, magnetism, and the very fabric of space-time itself. In the wrong hands, it could be devastating. But in the hands of humanity, it was their best hope of leveling the playing field. Back at the Galactic Council, Celera continued her quiet advocacy for diplomacy, trying to delay Groken's aggressive push for a preemptive strike on Earth. She knew that humans were not to be underestimated. Every new report that came in about their technological advancements confirmed her belief. If war came, it would not be an easy one, and both sides would suffer greatly. But Groken's faction grew louder and more influential each day. The Zeldari representative had begun rallying other species to his side, those who favored swift, decisive action rather than cautious observation. Celera knew it was only a matter of time before Groken convinced the council to act. As Celera prepared for the next council meeting, she received a coded transmission from an unknown source. The message was simple but chilling. "They're ready." She knew immediately what it meant. The humans had finished preparing their weapon. In the shadows of space, beyond the view of Earth's most powerful telescopes, the Galactic Council fleet began to gather. Warships from multiple species, each capable of devastating planetary bombardment, slowly took position just outside the detection range of Earth's defensive systems. The Council's patience was wearing thin. Humanity, though unaware of the full scope of what was coming, was ready in their own way. They had faced countless challenges before and had always found a way to survive, to adapt. This time would be no different. As the tension between Earth and the Galactic Council continued to mount, one thing became clear. Humanity was prepared to defend itself, no matter the cost. The tides of war. The days turned into weeks, and the tension in the galaxy reached a boiling point. General Marcus Hayes and his team were on high alert, as reports from their surveillance satellites revealed that the Galactic Council had mobilized a formidable fleet. Rumors of an impending assault spread through the ranks of the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF, fueling anxiety among the population. In a closed-door meeting, General Hayes and his top advisors gathered to discuss the latest developments. The holographic display projected images of the Galactic Council fleet, highlighting its size and capabilities. "We've received intelligence that they are preparing for a full-scale attack," Commander Riley said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "Their ships are armed and positioned for an offensive." Hayes leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "What about our capabilities? Is Project Sentinel ready for deployment?" Dr. Elena Navarro stepped forward, determination in her eyes. "We're prepared, but I urge caution. This weapon is our last resort. If we unleash it, there's no going back." "Every second counts," Hayes replied. "If we wait too long, we may lose the chance to act. We need to show the Galactic Council that humanity won't be pushed around." Meanwhile, aboard one of the Galactic Council's flagship vessels, Groken plotted their next move. He was determined to strike first, believing that humanity was a threat that had to be eliminated before they could grow any more powerful. "We cannot allow them to develop any more technology," Groken asserted, his voice echoing through the war room. "We need to attack before they can organize a defense. This is the only way to ensure our safety." Celera, seated among the council members, felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her. "There must be another way," she pleaded. "We can still open lines of communication. War is not the answer." Your compassion will be the end of us, Silara. Groken shot back, his eyes narrowing. The humans are unpredictable. They've shown ingenuity that could rival our own. If we don't act, they may surprise us. The tension in the room crackled as other representatives murmured in agreement with Groken. Silara's heart sank. She knew she had to do something to prevent a war. The fate of not just humanity, but countless other species hung in the balance. Back on Earth, preparations continued. The UEDF activated their orbital defenses and heightened alert levels. Soldiers trained tirelessly, honing their skills and preparing for the worst. Yet, amidst the fear and anxiety, a spirit of resilience emerged. People began to rally around the idea of unity. Crowds gathered, and messages of support flooded in from around the world. "We stand together" became the rallying cry. It was a reminder that regardless of the odds stacked against them, humanity had always faced adversity with courage. Dr. Navarro and her team worked around the clock to finalize Project Sentinel. The weapon would need to be deployed strategically, ensuring that they could protect Earth while also demonstrating their strength to the Galactic Council. "We can't afford to lose this fight," Navarro stated as she oversaw the final adjustments to the weapon systems. "We need to give them a reason to think twice before attacking." As the Galactic Council fleet neared Earth, Groken's faction grew increasingly confident. They believed that the sheer size of their armada would intimidate humanity into submission. But unbeknownst to them, humanity was not cowering in fear. Instead, they were preparing to stand their ground. The day of reckoning arrived. The Galactic Council fleet positioned itself at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, their ships glistening in the sunlight. With each passing moment, the tension escalated. Communications from the Council demanded Earth's surrender, but Hayes refused to back down. "Prepare Project Sentinel for deployment," he ordered, steeling himself for the battle ahead. "We will not let them take our home without a fight." As both sides prepared for war, Silara made one last attempt to reach out to humanity. She knew that communication could still be salvaged. She had seen the best of what humans could offer, and she wasn't willing to let that potential be extinguished. "Please, let me speak to them," she begged the Council. "We can still find a way to resolve this without bloodshed." But her pleas fell on deaf ears. The Council was set on their course of action, and Groken's supporters drowned out her voice. In the midst of this brewing storm, General Hayes received a communication from Silara. It was a risky move for her, but she had finally managed to send a message through the chaos. "We don't want war," her voice crackled through the speaker. "We want to understand. But if you strike first, we will have no choice but to defend ourselves." General Hayes hesitated, sensing the urgency and sincerity in her words. It was a fragile moment, one that could tip the scales in either direction. "Silara," he replied, "if you truly believe in peace, then help us create a dialogue before it's too late." As both sides prepared for conflict, a sense of inevitability hung in the air. Would humanity find a way to stand tall amidst the tides of war, or would they become another casualty of a galaxy too quick to judge? The outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was not ready to back down. The final stand. The galaxy held its breath as the two forces faced off, ready for a confrontation that could change the course of history. On one side stood the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF, a blend of resolve and ingenuity, their spirits high despite the odds against them. On the other side, the Galactic Council fleet, a vast and formidable assembly of ships, poised to crush what they saw as a threat. General Marcus Hayes stood on the bridge of the UEDF flagship, the SS Freedom. His heart raced as he glanced at the tactical display, showing the Council's fleet arrayed against them. Every crew member felt the weight of the moment, each of them aware that this day could mark either humanity's triumph or defeat. "Admiral," Hayes called to Admiral Reed, who was overseeing the final preparations. "What's our status?" "All systems are green, General," Reed replied, his voice steady. "Project Sentinel is ready for deployment. We can strike when you give the word." Hayes nodded, but a knot of doubt twisted in his stomach. He thought of Silara's plea for peace. Could they find a way to avoid conflict, or was it too late? He turned to his crew, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and fear. "Listen up, everyone," Hayes shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. "We are humanity, and we have always faced our challenges head-on. No matter what happens today, we stand together. We will fight for our home, our families, and our future." The crew cheered, their spirits bolstered by his words. They had prepared for this moment, and now it was time to show their true strength. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship of the Galactic Council, paced nervously. He had anticipated an easy victory, but the messages from haunted him. Her belief in humanity's potential gave him pause. Groken, a fellow council member, Zinthar, said, "Are we sure about this? If we proceed with the attack, there may be consequences we haven't foreseen." Eyes narrowed. "We cannot show weakness. The humans will exploit any hesitation. If we do not strike now, we may never get another chance. But we have intelligence that suggests they are ready for a defense." Pressed. "Perhaps we should consider negotiation." "The time for talk is over." Snapped. "Prepare for the attack. Let the humans see the might of the Galactic Council." Back on the SS Freedom, a tense silence fell over the bridge. Hayes had received no further word from, and as the Council's fleet loomed closer, he knew that time was running out. "General, they're launching fighters," Commander Riley shouted, pointing at the tactical display. "Order our ships to form a defensive perimeter." Hayes commanded. "We won't let them break through." As the UEDF ships moved into formation, swarms of enemy fighters surged towards them. The bridge erupted in a flurry of activity as gunners locked onto their targets. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as humanity prepared for battle. In the chaos of the battle, small skirmishes broke out as fighters clashed in the void of space. Lasers flashed, and explosions lit up the dark canvas. Humanity fought bravely, each pilot pushing their skills to the limit, fueled by the spirit of their people. Hayes remained focused on the bigger picture. "Where's Project Sentinel?" he asked, scanning the screen for any sign of the weapon's readiness. 5 minutes to launch." Navarro's voice came through the comms, clear and unwavering. "We're preparing the targeting system now." Suddenly, an alarm blared, and a red light flashed across the console. "General, they've breached our perimeter," Commander Riley warned, her voice trained. "We need to fall back." "No," Hayes shouted, his resolve hardening. "We cannot retreat now. We hold our ground for humanity." As the battle raged on, Silara desperately tried to reach out to both sides. She knew that a misunderstanding could lead to complete devastation. With every fiber of her being, she believed in the potential for peace. "Please listen," she broadcasted through the communication channels. "This does not have to end in bloodshed. We can find common ground. Let's talk." Her message echoed through the chaos, but neither side seemed to hear. The sounds of conflict drowned out her voice, the cries of war eclipsing her hope. In a bold move, Hayes ordered Project Sentinel to fire. The weapon unleashed a brilliant beam of energy, slicing through the chaos. The blast struck the heart of the Council's fleet, causing a massive explosion. Ships shattered like glass, scattering debris across the battlefield. The impact sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Groken's flagship was rocked by the force, and alarms blared. "They've hit our main ship," he shouted, fear creeping into his voice. "Retreat. We cannot afford to lose any more ships." Zinthar commanded, panic setting in. But it was too late. The tide of battle had turned, and the UEDF pressed their advantage. Humanity had shown resilience in the face of adversity, and they would not be easily defeated. As the battle continued, both sides sustained heavy losses. The stars above were marred with destruction, and the aftermath of their choices would be felt for generations. But in the midst of chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged. Silara managed to break through the interference. "Enough," she shouted. "We can't let this continue. We are on the brink of losing everything." Finally, her voice reached both Hayes and Groken, cutting through the noise of war. "Let's talk," Hayes shouted into the comms. "We need to find a way to end this before it's too late." Groken hesitated, his heart torn between pride and the realization that war would not solve their differences. As the dust began to settle, the two leaders found themselves facing a choice. Would they continue to fight, or could they reach out across the chasm of misunderstanding? The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and both humanity and the Galactic Council had to decide what legacy they wanted to leave behind. In that moment, they understood that the true strength of humanity lay not in weapons, but in their capacity for understanding, compassion, and unity.